Welcome to this special presentation on KHU 11 Plus as we celebrate the life and legacy of former Houston Mayor and Congressman Sylvester-Turner. Hello, I'm Lynn Cannon.
Good to be with you. I'm Mia Gradney. In this special, we'll take you through the pivotal moments of his career, his enduring impact on the city of Houston, and the powerful stories that shaped his journey from humble beginnings to Capitol Hill.
Soon, you will no longer walk into this building as mayor.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss it. We're gonna walk out slowly.
In November of 2023, Sylvester-Turner was about to exit a life in politics after 8 years as mayor and 24 years as a state representative. It was a career of highs and lows. He lost his first run for mayor in 1991, lost again in 2003, finally winning on his third try in 2015.
Let me just start off by saying, well, how sweet it is.
He had come a long way from his roots in Acres Homes. One of 9 children, his mother was a maid at the Rice Hotel, his father a commercial painter who died when Turner was 13. He showed promise early as senior class president at Klein High School and valedictorian. Then it was on to the University of Houston and Harvard Law School. After practicing law, he was elected to the Texas House of Representatives in 1988. Fast forward to the summer of 2024 and the sudden passing of Turner's close friend, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Her death changed his mind about sitting on the sidelines. He would run for her congressional seat.
Only the passing of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee at this critical time
Would get you in.
would get me in.
Then I asked about his own bout with cancer in 2022.
Are you healthy enough to run for Congress?
Well, number one, I would not be running if I were not healthy.
Are you healthy enough?
And I am healthy enough. And being diagnosed with cancer doesn't mean you stop serving. It doesn't mean you stop living. It doesn't mean that you no longer have any work to do.
He often reflected on his rise from humble beginnings to become mayor of the 4th largest city, calling it a testament to what is possible in the city.
Turner's story is one of resilience, leadership, and service. From his early days growing up in Acres Homes to his historic tenure as Houston's mayor, he led the city through challenges and triumphs, always with a deep love for the community he served.
Let's take a look at his early political career and his journey toward leading the nation's 4th largest city.
Sylvester-Turner's walking the walk and talking the talk of a man who might run for mayor. A small group of political supporters met with him Sunday afternoon behind closed doors, but it was hardly a secret. The media were called to watch, and afterwards to ask the inevitable question, does he really want to do this again?
I have never denied my desire to be mayor of this city. Never denied it. I want to be. It is my intention to be. There are many things that you have to weigh. I am weighing them. The issues and the things that were discussed were very moving today, and I think it's worth exploring.
Over and over again, Turner and his supporters brought up 2 issues where they clearly think Mayor Bob Lanier is vulnerable: gang violence and police harassment of minorities.
In spite of the news that's talking about a decline in crime, our communities are still suffering. We're suffering economically, we're suffering educationally, we're suffering socially.
Mayor Bob Lanier's response to a possible rematch with Turner? A long-winded no comment.
You know, I don't know that I feel like expressing myself much on what other people might or might not do.
Lanier is a tough opponent. An 11 News bullet poll earlier this month asking 500 voters whether the mayor deserves another term in office showed 66% saying yes. And his support crossed racial lines from 72% of whites to well over half of all Hispanics and African Americans. If Turner does decide to run again, he hasn't given himself much time.
Really, he's going to run into 2 big problems if he does jump in, and that's the problem of having adequate resources in terms of organization and money on this short time frame, and overcoming the negative publicity left over from his race 2 years ago.
Turner must make up his mind within a week. The filing deadline is next Monday. Doug Miller, 11 News.
Our former reporter Doug Miller sharing the campaign story. From those early campaigns to finally making it to City Hall, Turner's persistence paid off. His first election win in 2015 marked a historic moment for Houston. Let's listen to part of his 2015 victory speech where he shared his vision and hope for the city.
This is a great city. We are the most diverse city in the country. And a part of that diversity represents our richness. In this room tonight, you see a reflection of the city of Houston. Whether you voted for me or not, as we move forward, is irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether you stood with someone else. It doesn't matter whether you put down a yard sign. You have said to that little kid, if you stay strong, Sylvia, if you believe, if you work hard, you can be the mayor of the city of Houston, and I thank God for it. Thank you so much tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
This is the mayor that so many of us loved. Beyond politics, Mayor Turner cherished his role as a father. His daughter, Ashley Turner, took on the role of Houston's first daughter, bringing her own grace and leadership to the city.
Hi, Dee. I just wanted to check with you on some of the numbers.
At the Busy Bee Wellness Center in Southwest Houston,
What's been the appointments for this week?
we found a young woman who's about to become kind of famous, a woman the whole city saw earlier this week. Houston's new mayor, Sylvester-Turner, is not married, so when he attends events like his inauguration, he will often be
accompanied by his daughter, Ashley Turner.
At the age of 28, Ashley Turner is assuming the ceremonial role traditionally played by Houston's First Lady. What do we call you? First Lady? First Daughter?
I say first daughter.
Houston's first daughter is a healthcare executive, the chief operating officer of this center. But her new job, something entirely different. So just imagine it. A young woman's father becomes mayor. The daughter has to assume the duties of First Lady. Luckily for Ashley Turner, someone called her and became her mentor.
Yes, thank God for Kathy Hubbard. She called me after the race and said, hey, let's meet for lunch.
Kathy Hubbard is former Mayor Anise Parker's wife. She's taken Ashley Turner under her wing, offering advice on how to serve as the mayor's ceremonial better half.
I think she'll be awesome. She's a non-traditional first lady, as I was, and she really will make her mark and make her contribution.
It's so new that I'm just trying to adjust to it and get used to it myself. But there definitely will be times where I will have to escort him. I get to be his lovely date. He's welcome.
So get used to seeing her. Ashley Turner could be the mayor's date for the next 8 years. Doug Miller, KHOU 11 News.
And we're all thinking of Ashley and the family today. Mayor Turner's 2015 win was just the beginning. In 2019, he secured his second term, solidifying his legacy as a leader who could guide the city through both calm and crisis.
We know in office he faced natural disasters, name it, the Tax Day floods, Hurricane Harvey, Tropical Storm Imelda, and the pandemic. Through it all, he remained a steady and compassionate leader.
So, Mayor, it looks like it's 100% in and you won with 57% of the vote. It's all in? It's 100%. It says 100% of the precincts reporting.
And we're at 57?
57.14.
I think that's pretty good.
How do you feel about that, Mayor?
I feel very good about that. You know, look, this is a great city. And there was more money was spent on this mayor's race, than any mayor's race in the history of this city. A lot of things were said. But, you know, you trust the voters. And I certainly trust the voters, and I appreciate their vote of confidence. And I look forward to getting up every day, working on their behalf to improve their lives of their families and their children and the business community in our city.
I think it also gives you a testament to what they feel about your last 4 years. What do you think about that?
And I think it was, because when I ran 4 years ago, I wasn't mayor. I've been mayor for the last 4 years. They've had an opportunity to see me operate under some very tough situations. Hurricane Harvey, Tropical Storm Imelda, the Tax Day flood, Proposition B, okay, pension reform. So they've had an opportunity to see me operate close up in person and to know what sort of person I am, my character, whether or not I can work with everybody in the city, and whether or not I would govern, recognizing that whether people voted for me or not, I'm still the mayor of the entire city. And I think today's election outcome says, yeah, they trust me, and now I have to work every single day to continue to earn their trust and to build on that. And I look forward to working for the people in this city over the next 4 years.
4 more years, what does it look like the next 4 years?
I would tell you, 4 years sounds like a long time, but it's not. The last 4 years have come and go so very, very quickly. But it looks good. Look, this has always been a can-do city. I want it to continue to be a can-do city. This has always been a city that if you work hard, you can succeed. And it has always been a city where we work better when we work together, where you work to establish a consensus. You try not to do it by yourself, but you recognize that there are a lot of people that if you put forth the right message, the right vision, invite them to the table, they will come to the table and they will step up and help you. That's the city that I know. That's the city in which I grew up in. That's the city that I've governed over the last 4 years, and that's the way I intend to govern for the next 4 years.
And tell me, what are your goals for the next 4 years?
We know storms come with greater frequency and intensity. We still need to really solidify our city, make it stronger, more resilient, more sustainable. Infrastructure. 3 of the 4 major flooding projects have been approved by the federal government and fully funded. And so those projects will be built over the next 3 years. I'm looking forward to really pushing those projects forward. When it comes to public safety, we've added more police, but we need 600 more. Public safety is very, very important. So we want to be very intentional on that end. Making sure that we build up communities that have been underserved and under-resourced. My complete community initiative, very ambitious. But I don't want to be the mayor of 2 cities and one of have and have-nots. So we're pushing forward on that. And then making sure that we have business opportunities, we're paying people livable wages, so that everybody feels a part of our city and they feel valued, okay? So want to push forward on that. So there are a lot of major initiatives. I'm focusing on things that will be transformational in people's lives. And over the next 4 years, I intend to be very intentional on that, but calling on a number of people from the business community, the labor community, the people in every sector to say, let's see what we can do together to really transform our city for the better over the next 4 years. And then we can hand off the city to the next mayor much further along than the city that I inherited.
And you said that this might be the last time your name's on the ballot.
Yeah, this race for me was so important on so many different levels. It could very well be the last time that you will see my name on the ballot. But that's okay, because what it says and what I can say to the people in the city, I'm not looking for the next race, okay? I ran again because, number one, I love this city, and there's a lot more work that we need to do. And I want to make sure that this city is as competitive with any other city on the face of this planet. And I want to make sure that if you're living in this city, that you receive the quality of life, the things that you need in order for you to take care of your family and your children, and you go to work. Those are the things that are important. And so I'm excited about being given the opportunity to continue to serve. We got a lot of things we need to do in a short period of time. So quite frankly, let me tell you, I'm in a hurry to get those things done.
One more question. Your opponent, Mr. Busby, says that if you win, he's willing to offer his help to you. What is your message to him tonight?
Everybody is invited to the table to assist. If you've got good ideas, I'm willing to listen. If you've got constructive ideas, I'm willing to listen. If you want to work together in a pragmatic way to move this city forward, I'm willing to listen. Everyone is always invited to the table when you want to be constructive and positive and you're willing to work with others in order to get good things done for the betterment of the people in this city.
And of course, we now know that was not Turner's last dance with politics going on to become Congressman Turner. One of Turner's many defining moments came during the COVID-19 pandemic as mayor. He took personal action encouraging Houstonians, especially those in underserved communities, to get vaccinated.
His message was clear. Protecting the community meant protecting each other.
And I will tell you, in walking through the clinic on Saturday and Sunday. What was noticeably absent in many ways was the number of the people of color who were not in those lines. And I spent a lot of time at the clinic Saturday and Sunday, but did not see that many Hispanics and African Americans. So today, I am pleased, and Asians. Let me include that as well. So today, I'm pleased to be joining us today in taking the vaccine for people of color in our community, in this diverse community. This is not the Tuskegee Project. We recognize the hesitations people have, the fears that they have, but while many people are coming to get the vaccine, this is not the time for people of color to be staying away from the vaccine. So we want to encourage people in the Hispanic community, people in the African American community, people in the Asian community, people in all of our communities throughout the city of Houston to take it, because until we get to that 75-80% herd immunity, we're all going to be adversely affected.
What happened? You hear me here?
Wow, that was a good job, man. You didn't even play.
Mayor Turner hurting the city through the pandemic. Just a few weeks before Turner left the mayor's office for the final time in 2023, I sat down with him to discuss his accomplishments and challenges, his health, and his future.
Soon, you will no longer walk into this building as mayor.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss it. We're gonna walk out slowly. You know, I oftentimes reflect on where I started, and even before University of Houston. You know, I'm a native Houstonian. I was born and reared in Acres Home, okay? And I'm fortunate, as the mayor of the city of Houston, I still live in Acres Home. So I came up in that hood, I still live in that hood. And to come to start there, parents, you know, dad died early when I was 13. Mom was a maid at the Old Rice Hotel downtown, rearing 9 kids. So when I look at where I started and look at where I am now, you know, this kid has come a long way.
The last time we talked was about your cancer diagnosis.
Yes.
How is your health today?
You know, it's good. I'm constantly being monitored. So, you know, I'm going back on a regular basis and they're checking me out. But I am fortunate, like so many others, to be living here in the city of Houston, the largest medical center in the world, the best cancer research hospital in the world, right here in the city of Houston. And they have done an exceptional job. I mean, I had the surgery back on June 30th of 2022. And then I've gone through the radiation and all of that. And I've been able to still to maintain my duties as mayor of the city of Houston, pretty much maintain my schedule with the exception of the 2.5 weeks that I was out on surgery. But even with the radiation, you know, I didn't miss a day and continue to function. So I've been blessed. So when I look around, you know, I don't look around with a sense of pessimism. But quite frankly, Lynn, I've been blessed. As we say in the church, I've been blessed and highly favored.
I hear you. Your last day as mayor is December 31st.
Yeah, can we move it back?
Does it mean you're retiring?
No, it means that I'm changing seats.
What's next?
That I don't know yet.
So let me throw this out there.
Sure.
If Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee happens to become the next mayor.
No.
Let me finish. Would you run for her congressional seat?
No.
That's a no.
I'm not interested in going to Congress.
Are you interested in politics beyond the mayor's
What
job?
I can say to you is that I'm not running for anything in 2024. You know, when 8 years as mayor, 27 years in the legislature, all back to back, So 35 consecutive years, nonstop of public service. And then with the exception of being mayor, partnering the law firm for 32 years.
So you need a break.
So I'm gonna take a break. How long that break will be is hard to say. If you give me 2 weeks, then the engines are rolling. But I will continue to serve. Let me put it that way. Mm-hmm. I'm term limited as mayor. Service itself is not term limited. And quite frankly, you don't have to be in the seat being mayor or be an elected official to serve your city and to serve other people as well. So the service will continue.
Is this the last political office you will ever hold?
No, I'm not willing to say that because quite frankly, you never know what comes down the pike. So I'll leave that to, I'll let God control that. But what I will say is that I will continue to do my best in whatever position I'm in to serve people, for example, in this city, who have been very gracious and supportive of me. So we shall see.
Have you had a vacation in 8 years?
I've taken like 4 or 5 days. I've done that. Nothing long.
Do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, I like reading. I like writing.
Writing.
Going to arts. All of those things. Sports. I mean, I don't care what it is, whether it's baseball, soccer, football, basketball, track and field. I'm in it. So I love that.
Does the former mayor still get tickets? Tell the truth.
The former mayor. Look, the former mayor has a mayor's detail. Now, on January the 1st, this former mayor may be at the bus stop in Acres Home. Oh, waiting on your Uber, So, things. I fully recognize that come January 1st, things will be different.
There's a saying, Mayor, we learn more from our failures than our success. Can you share a failure and what you learned from it?
I don't know if I classify things as failures. There are a lot of things, there are things that you just can't get to, or things you might not be able to finish. I don't classify those as failures. I think in anything you learn from. We've faced 7 federally declared disasters since I've been mayor. That's a lot. I don't know if any previous mayor has faced as many federally declared disasters during his or her term than I have faced. And then and that's not counting your pension problems, issues with the firefighters, all of those other issues that are critically important, and then having to do with the day-to-day governance and the core services of this city. So I don't necessarily view things, I don't look at them in terms of failure. I think as a city, we've been able to manage those things very, very well. But in terms of failures, quite frankly, I haven't spent a lot of time focused on that.
I want to talk about the relationship between the city of Houston and the Texas legislature. You served more than 2 decades.
27 years.
In the legislature, almost 30 years.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
The very same legislature that now challenges elections in the city of Houston, challenges what ordinance you could potentially write.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
It's a different legislature. When I came in, and for the time that I was in the legislature, you could be a Republican, you could be from rural Texas, but you were able to communicate and get things done. People had a listening ear.
And now?
And now things are so divided, polarized. People come in with a set agenda, or they are operating on somebody else's agenda, and facts are no longer important, okay? The realities are out the window. People come in with a set position, they stick to that set position, and irrespective of the facts, the circumstances, the reality, the people that are being impacted by those decisions,
people are operating with tunnel vision. That didn't exist when I was in the legislature before. You could stand up at the floor of the Texas House and you could give a speech, and if it made good sense, you literally could sway people. I don't care if they were Republicans, urban, rural, suburban, things you made a difference. I was the Speaker pro tem, an urban Democrat, under a very conservative Republican Speaker, chosen by the Republican Speaker, mind you, okay, in a Republican-controlled House. I was the vice chair of the Appropriations Committee, chosen by another Republican Speaker, who called me during the summer and said, look, I'm going to appoint you as vice chair of the Appropriations Committee because, Sylvester, I want you to serve on the Appropriations Conference Committee because you know the budget, and I need my best minds at the table. So I'm going to make you vice chair because that's an automatic seat on the Conference Committee. Those things are not happening today.
You know all the major players in Austin. You know the Attorney General. You know the Governor. You know the Lieutenant Governor. You ever pick up the phone and say, hey, what's going on here?
Well, for a few of those people, we still communicate. And we still talk on the phone. And the relationship still exists because those relationships existed over the years. So.
But there are political disagreements.
Well, there are political disagreements, and even in those personal conversations, for example, I would say, now, you know, doggone well, what you said is not what you mean, okay? Why? And we go back and forth. But the relationship is still there, and it may be surprising to a lot of folk, but those conversations are still taking place. Now, do we leave our homes, for example, and go and make those public and say to Lynn, let me tell you who I talked to last? No. Those are the relationships that you have. And it's still important to be able to communicate with people, even in those private conversations, because you can still get some things, make some things happen. So that's good. Hopefully, we'll get back to that because it only the system works best when those relationships are in existence and where you can be on opposite sides, but it doesn't mean you have to become the enemy of the other. Those were some good times in the legislature. The dividends from those times still are paying off today. But things have become so polarized, so toxic, that people, if they're not strong enough in their convictions and who they are, they yield to the political pressure. And their voices are drowned out, or they just cease, they're very, very quiet.
You talk about not being able to finish some things as mayor.
Yeah.
The city and firefighters have been in a contract dispute your entire time in office. Why hasn't that been settled yet?
Well, the dispute with the firefighters predates me. And the controversy, for example, with firefighters was with the previous administration as well.
And so for your 8 years, though, still no progress?
Because there's one question that I think is important for whoever sits in the mayor's seat to ask. What's in the best interest of the city? When I was in the legislature, for example, I had an A+ voting record with firefighters and the union, okay? But as mayor, I'm the CEO and the manager.
Of the city?
Of the city. And the question that mayors have to ask, what's in the best interest of the city? You can be my friend, but if you're asking for something that's not in the best interest of the city, it's important for me to be able to say, I respect you, you are my friend, but no. If you ask me for a 29% pay raise in 1 year, and I know the city can't afford that, in order to maintain your friendship with me, should I give it to you and hurt everybody else? Or do I need to be able to say, you are my friend, I hear what you're asking, the city can't afford it.
No compromise, though.
Well, it takes two to compromise.
So may not be able to give you 29%, may be able to give you something else. But if you are sticking with what you are asking for, and you're not willing to look at something else, then we're gonna have a problem. I'll give you a case in point. Police officers, when they negotiate, they never leave anything on the table. I've negotiated with police and municipal workers since I've been here. Police officers will come in and their leaders will yell and scream and say, look, Mayor, if you don't respect the police officers and pay us what we work, we will hold a press conference on you, okay? And they're serious, and then you'll go back and forth, and they'll put forth an offer, you'll put forth a counter offer. They'll say, Mayor, that's not enough, that's not enough. Two cases. And then they'll stand up and say, we got a deal. Police officers never leave money on the table. They are hard negotiators, okay? They negotiate very well, but they also understand the financial limitations of the city. So what does it gain for you to get what you want and the city suffers? So there has to be some give and take, but there has to be a willingness to compromise and not ask, for example, the city to give you something that the city cannot afford.
Here's another issue that has been a problem, especially in the last year. We have done countless stories on people who've had water main breaks, low water pressure. They tell us it takes weeks for the city to even answer them or get back to them as to what is wrong. Why is that?
Well, when you've got 500 water main breaks across the city, it's difficult for any city to get back to you the next day or even the next week or the next 2 weeks. During this extreme weather event, and as you know, last summer was extreme weather event, heat. This summer, extreme weather. We had as close to 1,000 water main breaks because the ground is constantly shifting.
Could the city do better?
Well, we have brought on, number one, you have your own internal crews. We've brought on outside contractors, okay, which cost quite a bit. So we've tried to ramp up. When you have aging infrastructure, okay, and you have extreme weather conditions, something is going to yield. And as the ground shifts, these pipes underneath, they break. They break. I don't care who's the mayor is, okay? So, do you want these water main leaks? Do you think any elected official or the CEO want to see water main breaks? But when Mother Nature says that you have these extreme weather conditions, that will impact directly on the shifting of the ground and cause these water main breaks. And so, and oftentimes I say, if you got a water main break, for example, on your street in front of your house, you see it, that's immediate, you want it addressed. I understand that. I got that. And I wish when you call Public Works, we could come directly to your street in front of your house and fix it.
There are people who say they call, they get no response. They call, they get no answer. And then it's 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 8 weeks.
They certainly are entitled to a response, even if it might be a response that they don't like. So they're certainly entitled to the fact, thank you for calling. We have certainly noted it. And it may take us anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, depending on how the crews are operating, how fast we can get to you. It may take some time for us to get there. But if, for example, these water breaks are taking place, and you expect for the city to respond just like that, that's unrealistic. It's not going to happen.
The frustration,
not when you have 1,000 water main breaks, and you're working feverishly to get it down to 500. And even this year, for example, in the last few months, we got it down to under 100. And then with the weather conditions, it popped right back up to, let's say, 500 or more. So it makes it very difficult to get to everybody in a timely fashion.
Put yourself in those folks' shoes. You certainly understand the frustration.
I understand the frustration, but I also understand the dynamics of how the system operates.
What is your advice to the next mayor?
Enjoy. This is a great city. And Houstonians are the best. There are some things you can plan for. There are a lot of things that will come that you would not plan for. I didn't plan for 7 federally declared disasters, okay? But you have to deal with those that you don't plan for, and you still have to keep the city running. What I would also say is that you can't please everybody. And if you try, you'll fail everyone. Where you can say yes, and it's in the best interest of the city, fine. But even with some of your friends, you have to be able to say no.
Final question as it relates to your mayorship.
Yes.
Before you walk out the door,
yes,
what do you want to say to the people of Houston?
Collectively, we've done a great job, okay? When you look at this city and where we are, collectively, we have kept a very diverse city together. More so than probably any other major city in the United States, okay? We have addressed the critical needs of our city, and it's never one and done. It's never completed, you know? Because when you're dealing with, for example, with COVID, for example, and it doesn't just come and go, but stay around for 2 years, and even now we're still dealing with it. It can throw certain things off, okay? But even with that, we've proven to be highly resilient.
Mayor, I know you wanted this job for a long time. Some people may not realize that you ran twice before.
I ran 3 times.
So you ran a total of 3 times.
Correct.
So here you are, you got an opportunity in your hometown. Personally, your thoughts to the people that you have served.
Look, it's been the joy of a lifetime. Lynn, even with 7 federally declared disasters, pension problems that plagued the city for some 20 years before I got here, which we have addressed in a very meaningful way, okay? 8 balanced budgets, even in some tough times, even before the federal dollars came here. When I walked into the door, $160 million shortfall, when I walked into the door. But we balanced it without laying off one single person.
What you're telling me sounds like a campaign ad for another run somewhere.
Well, what I'm telling you is that success and results speak for themselves. I don't have to make it up. When I walked into the door, unfunded pension liabilities of $8.2 billion. As you and I talk, it's under $2.2 billion and moving in the right direction. When I walked into this door, 4 months in was the tax day flood. City has proven to be resilient. We were the energy capital of the world. As I talked to you today, we're leading in being energy transition, okay? When I walked in, it was like 2 cities in one of have and have-nots. We've placed more focus on communities that have been underserved and under-resourced, okay? In this year alone, we will significantly improve 22 local neighborhood parks. We were out at 1 today, in 1 year alone. And the last ribbon cutting will probably be mid-December, 22. But we'll get that done, okay? So when I walked in, we had an aging police force. 39% of HPD officers were eligible to retire. 2,000 out of 5,200. And people wonder why it's not growing. It was an aging police force. We've reduced that now to about 28%. Under my administration, we have hired nearly 2,500 police officers. Only second in the history of this city to Mayor Catherine Whitmire. And she was there for 10 years, okay? So what I'm saying is, has it been challenging? Yes. At times tough? Yes. 7 federally declared disasters? Yes.
Harvey, COVID, social civil unrest, Winter Storm Uri, yes. But as we sit here, Houston has proven to be resilient, and we're still moving forward.
My conversation with former Mayor Turner in November of 2023, just weeks before he left office.
You covered so much ground.
Covered a lot of ground, yes we did.
Absolutely.
Through it all, Turner remained dedicated to his roots. He often spoke about his upbringing in Acres Homes and the values instilled in him by his family.
Even as he prepared to leave office, he brought a lightheartedness to his final city council meeting, showing that his love for service and his warm spirit were here to stay.
Today, as I hit this gavel for the last time, we shall stand adjourned.
Mayor Turner's legacy is one of service, and even in his final days, he was still giving back.
Yeah, city council members and other local leaders sharing their thoughts on his passing and his impact.
It's a terrible loss for the city of Houston. It's a personal loss for me.
Mayor John Whitmire leading city council in remembering Sylvester-Turner, who held the same post as mayor for 8 years. Whitmire recalled his relationship with Turner, at times in disagreement, but always holding a close and dear personal relationship.
I have nothing but fond memories of his partnership and our representing the same people. We had disagreements, but they were never personal, and our families were close.
Other council members fighting through tears and emotions, remembering Turner for his public service and the influence he had on their lives and political careers.
I am heartbroken. I'm heartbroken.
This is a man that gave his life for our city, his love of Houston, and gave his life for our country.
It's a sad day. It's a very sad day. Houston won't be the same without Mayor Turner, Congressman Turner.
It is a very tragic day for our city, our county, our state, and indeed our nation.
Among those who shared fond memories of the congressman included longtime friend and former political colleague, Harris County Precinct 1 Commissioner Rodney Ellis, who held back tears as he remembered a pillar of the Houston community.
He was a great state representative, an excellent mayor.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. And a great member of the United States Congress.
Yes.
And of course, it's tragic that we'll never see what that final chapter in his public policy career would really have written in the pages of history.
Also in shock, Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo.
I struggle to realize that he's gone.
Who shared her heartbreak.
He cared about the community. He remembered where he came from. He cared about mentoring others.
That includes Erica Lee Carter, daughter of the late Sheila Jackson Lee. She finished out the remainder of her mother's term before Turner took the congressional seat.
It was my honor to pass the baton to Sylvester-Turner. So I'm trying to hold on to that thought that my mom, the late Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee, who had great faith, is now rejoined by her great friend, two warriors for justice.
Also known for his strong faith, the news conference ended with prayer.
And let this entire world show the national treasure that Sylvester-Turner was. Yes. It is in your mighty name of Jesus Christ we pray. Thank God. Amen. Amen.
In Houston, Michelle Choi, KHOU 11 News.
Great relationship. We could call each other at odd hours and talk about problems. He was easy for me to work with. He cared about people, and it was a great thing for him to come to Congress after the transition of our dear friend Sheila Jackson Lee. And he was serving quite well. No one that I know of has come to Congress more prepared than Sylvester-Turner. Having served in the State House for about a quarter of a century, and then served for 8 years as mayor of the city of Houston, fourth largest city in the country, he was prepared, and he served quite well for the short period of time that he was here.
That was Congressman Al Green, of course, talking about losing his longtime friend and political ally. And of course, they were both at the president's address last night on Capitol Hill. It's really something. Turner's death came as a shock this morning. I personally was stunned Because, Mia, I was texting with the congressman last night while he was watching President Trump's joint address to Congress.
My goodness. And before his passing, from what we can tell, Turner was working for constituents up until the very end.
My guest tonight for the State of the Union.
Just 30 minutes before the president's address Tuesday night, the late congressman posted this video to social media, appearing well as he introduced his guests for the event. Then, while attending the address, Turner experienced a medical incident, according to a family spokesperson. They say a U.S. Capitol physician responded, and Turner was sent to the hospital before being released. But then, this morning, around 5:45 a.m., Turner died at home from what his family called enduring health complications. They said Turner's death was unexpected. Washington, D.C.'s Metro Police Department confirms that officers responded to an apparent natural death at Turner's D.C. residence today. In the past, Turner was open about his battles with cancer, but we still don't know if his death was cancer-related.
Accordingly, pursuant to the House Resolution 191, the House stands adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow as a further mark of respect to the memory of the Honorable Sylvester-Turner.
The U.S. House paying tribute to the late congressman. They also held a moment of silence on the floor as lawmakers gathered together in his memory today.
Flowers placed in his seat as well. Klein ISD, they're sharing these photos of Turner, who was the class of 1973 valedictorian of Klein High School. They say the late Congressman Turner embodied the spirit of leadership, perseverance, and service from a young age. He proudly served as student council president. And back in February of 2020, he accepted the Alumnus of the Month award, where he took a moment to express gratitude for the educators and leaders shaping the future. Once a Bearcat, always a Bearcat at Klein.
Yes, indeed. I'm sure they're proud. We knew Mayor Turner well beyond the newsroom and this studio.
That's right. You and I both spent many weekends, many holidays. In fact, this is from Juneteenth, a couple of years back. Happy times with Mayor Turner. We spent a lot of those at various community events. You know, I think the feeling was mutual, our shared love of community and for the community. Behind the scenes, we always loved to tease him, you and I, and he was such a good sport about it. If you've ever heard him speak, outside of the setting in the council chambers, right?
Not talking in politics per se.
Right, exactly. Whether it was at a gala or whether it was at a festival, he was very charismatic and very much spoke and sounded like a pastor at times. He would move the crowd. And so we affectionately called him Pastor Turner, and he played right along. Whatever it was, he showed so much passion for the cause in that moment, but most of all for the people.
Yeah, we cheered along with him with the Astros, and we cheered all the sports team. You heard him talk in that interview that he loved all sports. So he followed the Cougs, he followed the Astros, followed the Texans. He was all over it.
Here's the deal, Lynn. He was a fan of anything that was H-Town, right? And especially if it came from his beloved Faux in Acres Home.
That's right.
Yes,
the Faux. You got it.
Well, as we look back on the life of Mayor Sylvester Turner, we celebrate his legacy of leadership, service, and love for Houston. His journey from Acres Homes to City Hall shows us anything is possible with hard work and perseverance.
We thank you for joining in celebrating the life of former Mayor and Congressman Sylvester Turner here on KHOU 11+.